Following that, if we have time, we're going to have a quick discussion regarding commercial captain lapse license, but it's a very real possibility this will have to be punted until the next workshop just due to time constraints, and we want to let staff go home on time at 5. So, Bill, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thanks for having me here today. I asked to get on the agenda for today to basically get the feel from the board as to their appetite for member portal and what your vision about that might be. And I figured since this is in front of us, and there are many other things in front of IT right now from a cybersecurity perspective and all of that, but I want to be ahead of the game here in terms of planning for how we move this forward. So I thought I'd start with a little bit of the art of the possible for you and things that I've seen in with other tribes and how member portals can work. And really just talk that out a little bit and then solicit your feedback. I know that through different conversations that I've had that there is an appetite here at the tribe for having a member portal where you can log in and interrogate services that the tribe provides and all of that. I will say that from the systems that we have in place today, doing that in a highly automated fashion is not really much of a possibility right now. But in terms of my planning, I want to make sure that that I understand what kinds of things would be priority that you've been hearing the membership asking for, and what your vision about that might be. So I see somebody's got their hand up already.
Bridget, do you have a question?
No, I have a statement.
Okay, go ahead.
Basically, we've probably been talking about this portal for probably a decade or so. I know that was something that we wanted to do. I think in having all of our information on a website or an app or whatever, that we can specify that it only is tribal members viewing it. And I also like to see, going back to when we started doing live streaming and Zoom, and now we're YouTube videos or whatever. I don't think that the world needs to see our information. I think it should be member specific. So when members want to, view our meetings or workshops or anything that we do discuss, it's members. It's not the whole world to see it. I think, that's important.
Thank you for that. You stole a bit of my thunder there in that that's absolutely the way I've seen other tribes do the implementation of those portals. And so to talk a little bit about this from the art of the possible, like many services that you go to, you can go to sort of a general website. And part of the reason why this comes up right now is there was an RFP let out for the rehabilitation of the face of the Sioux Tribe website, which we started to consider the responses to that the other day, but I wanted to come in and talk to the board about it before we complete that process. So the front of the existing website contains a lot of information which, you've decided to make generally available because anybody can go to the website for the most part. The way we would implement the services side of it would be behind a member login. So it's actually, and really what's happening is if you're doing this the way the state of the art sets it up, you'd be logging into that portal. It would verify that you are who you are as a member of the tribe, and then you would get access to things like services or requesting services from the tribe. But none of that would be publicly available, and I could envision half a dozen other types of services, like if you wanted to give access to your live streams, the published parts of your live streams only to members, that could also be behind that login. So I do appreciate the thoughts there in terms of wanting that to be private. That's not an uncommon request. So back to the art of the possible. the way you would do this, there's two products out there. There's two competing major products, of which we've purchased a module for social services from one. It's called One Tribe from Intertribal Software. The other company that's doing this in a cohesive way is called Arctic IT, and they wrap around your membership database, which then allows you to plug in modules for the actual work of delivering social service or courts or housing or, other products. So those modules contain and manipulate the data. This is not something that the public has access to. This is for tribal employees who go in and are doing the work of program delivery or whatever the case may be in the tribal government side. But because you've collected that data in a consistent way, you have the capability to allow your membership to interact with that. And the way I've seen it done is, like, for example, if you were managing enrollment through one of these two products, you could have service requests where an enrolled member who, once you've authenticated that they are indeed that person, can then go in and say, I'd like to change my address. And it becomes a service request that then the enrollment team has to act upon. It doesn't automatically up the database. You may have tribal code or law requirements that say you got to produce, I'm just pulling an example out of the air, but you need to have a copy, a power bill for your new address or something like that, which could then be uploaded at the time directly in as part of the service request. And then the organization providing the service can then have a disposition on what they're going to do with that information. They may have to contact the member, the citizen, find additional information, whatever the case may be. One of the really neat things about all of that is, particularly like in your public health and social services areas, you have a whole list of programs that you offer support to your membership. You can actually use these portals, as I've seen them implemented, to collect information from the member about, what's my income, what's this, what's that, and then you can get a laundry list of programs that they can apply for. The only way to do that really effectively, though, is to have that larger management system that's allowing you to do the operations in an automated way. If it's a bunch of file folders in a drawer somewhere, you're not going to have the ability to be able to gather that data and say, based upon who you are, how many children you have, other factors, you are eligible for these 5 things, and would you like to apply? So that's the vision that I'd like to bring to the tribe. And what I really wanted from this body was just guidance on what level of priority I should put on that, because we have some other priorities, as you are aware, in terms of cybersecurity that I'll be presenting on soon enough. But so I'll turn it back over to the board members to sort of talk me through what you've been hearing and all of that, so I have a direction to go.
Okay, I appreciate it, Bill. This is obviously has been a long-term project of ours for a long time. It's something that we want just to streamline the process to be able to apply for services, things like that. We have a couple hands up, but in my opinion, I think the priority right now needs to be cybersecurity. I wouldn't categorize it as a luxury item because it is 2025 and we should have something like this, but in my opinion, your efforts should be prioritized making our network as safe and as robust as possible. So, Rob, then Aaron.
Yep, I agree. Right now, cybersecurity has to be number one priority. So this is something that I imagine and I envision starting out with a couple features and then building onto it, not sinking all of your time and efforts into this to make this a top priority. Cybersecurity has to be the top priority. But this is also up there on the list. I mean, this is something that could completely modernize the way our members receive information from the tribe and, interact with the tribe in a way that makes things easier for them to understand and grasp of how everything works. Your answer to the last question, or your explanation, cleared up a lot of my questions, because one of my questions was going to be, how will this portal interact with each of our departments? Will it be automated to the point where, if someone, let's say a member needs a service from ACFS, can they log into their portal and input their information and based on guidelines get a list of services that they qualify for. I imagine the portal being a place that we could someday use for transparency purposes, where a member that wants to learn about one of our budgets that's public or that was disclosed in public information, they could click that and either view the workshop that it was discussed or the actual budget. So I think that we could use it for a ton of different things. If a member logs in and wants to update their address through all tribal departments, does it automatically do that, or does it just send it to enrollment and then enrollment has to, manually input it on their end? So, I mean, I'm sure we could get to the point where once the member hits submit and verify, then it's just automatically fixed within our departments, but we're probably a ways out from that. It's probably going to have to be manual for one. So thanks for your thoroughness and asking and answering those questions. And that's just kind of how I view it, is that cybersecurity is number one priority. And this is just something that we need to establish what are the first 3 features we want on it, and then add to it as we can until it's something that's really workable for the members.
Okay, Aaron, then Isaac.
Yeah, so Bridget and Rob kind of covered it. The main reason we were looking at this in the past was so that all of our dirty laundry doesn't have to be out for everybody else to see, but also so that for transparency purposes for our own people. Right now, our Constitution affords you the right to any records. Any records. It doesn't even limit it, but obviously we can't give client records and stuff like that. But for the financials, we've had at times people want this exhaustive list or whatever, and it's a time and effort thing. In the past, we've just denied people, or we say, yeah, come on over to the admin and you can take a photocopy of it if you want. But any member should be able to gain access to whatever information that's relevant to them. And so having that on a portal is better. The other side of the coin here is we know that some of our tribal members are not good actors, they're bad actors, and they'll be sharing stuff with other people anyway, so we can't control that. Even just having them log in doesn't maintain the confidentiality of the information, because it's up to them to do what they want to do with it afterwards. So financials, the annual report, in a secured location, that's something that should be available. It doesn't need to be available to everybody, just tribal members. So I think that's pretty much it. And I have to leave. I apologize because I had a 5 o'clock.
We're all going to have to leave in 9 minutes, so go ahead, Isaac.
Hey, Bill, so the priorities I see, right, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is cybersecurity, you got the new accounting platform, EHR, and then just some solid Wi-Fi I'd be happy with.
Yes, sir. Those are all things that are
Yeah.
in process.
But in the meantime, do you think we should start having people digitize their paper files?
I'm not going to answer on that immediately. The general answer on that is absolutely yes.
But
Yes.
maybe we could start with that, right? Because it's only going to be good if it's digitized. You can't
Right.
go into a paper folder to give people access to.
Correct.
So that might be a thought for you, that we push that.
Right. So and I know we've only got a few minutes here. I hear completely what you're saying, Isaac, and I think that parts of that get answered by the automation of the actual program delivery. So, and we can talk at length. And again, cybersecurity is my number one goal here. And I probably should have started this statement with that, because that's where we're facing the most risk. But as I'm building out a strategy for the tribe in terms of where we go, how we do cybersecurity also affects what our options are going forward. And I just want to make sure that I'm taking a holistic view of where the tribe feels technology needs to take them in terms of member service, particularly on the government side. And so that was the reason for my visit today, was to just really sense what the spirit of the board of directors is on that.
All right, Tyler?
Yeah, so my previous experience working for organizations, they've been able to deal with cybersecurity, modernization of technology, EHR, accounting upgrades, Wi-Fi upgrades, and membership portals and websites. It's part of the whole package, and you can't have security without secure portals. Plus EHR, the EHR system we have, is going to come with its own portal, right? So, I'd like to see continued progress on this. Clearly, we have other priority areas, but that doesn't mean it needs to be put on the back burner entirely. I know that you know that, and as far as membership services are concerned, I think that is one of the most important things that we need to work on, aside from all of these other things, to protect our data. Because people need easy access to these things. We recently just got this pamphlet that shows membership services directory, right? Super helpful. If we had a website that was that helpful, have you played on our website now? I'm sure you've been here long enough to have opened it.
Right.
It is not easy to find any information, even if you've navigated regularly. Even the search engine on it is old. And trying to improve that would be a benefit to all of our membership, both at large and in the service area, because then they would know what they qualify for, how to access those services, who to contact, and have an updated database of contact information as well, because I think there are still some things that are outdated on there. Easy access to archive documents, things of that nature. That's all important to both us as a tribe and to our membership. So, and I know that all of this stuff can be worked on simultaneously. I know that you are doing a thorough review and assessment of it. But I mean, that's ultimately, some of the main complaints that I hear is people just don't know where to go. So they come to us, they come to our liaison, so on and so forth. So I think, when you take all that into consideration, just ease of accessibility, we have a very old modeled website, and it would be nice to have some efficiencies there. And mostly for our membership services, to be able to access the services that they qualify for, to know who to contact, to know how they qualify, to have easily downloadable PDFs, just things of that nature. Because even us, we're still asking our staff, hey, I forgot where you said this was, and they'll get it to us pretty quickly, but it's just not easy to navigate. So I think, those are some of the things that we're looking for when we're talking about this membership portal. And knowing that the EHR is going to come with an membership portal itself for the healthcare services.
Right. And that's a very specific thing.
Yep.
So Bill, do you mind if we resume this conversation when we have a little bit more time?
I don't mind at all. You've given me enough that I know my direction at this point. So I'll be coming back with recommendations for the board, but I really appreciate y'all taking the time.
I appreciate that. And we had one last item that we had to cover for today. We've run out of time. I'm not going to make staff stay later than they need to. However, Lana informed me that we have some time available on next Tuesday's workshop where we can workshop it because it's also going to be voted on at next Tuesday's meeting.
I'm talking to Ryan just now. 16th meeting.
Okay, even better. So, yes. Absolutely.